And we're back to more GGS. So the update on the stuff on my capture board stuff, I think the USB that they put into this 3DS is a little flimsy, because I think the capture board itself is fine, but the USB port for it is not so great. It's very fragile, so I have to be really, really careful about not moving this thing once I find a sweet spot for it. Though I'm sure it's probably still gonna freak out on me at any point in this, so I apologize ahead of time if that happens. For the time being, we are going to listen to the jurors talk about why they thought Mango Doll is guilty in the final appeal / closing argument. The jurors' assertions.
There was no one else inside the carriage, therefore it could have been no one else.
There were 4 passengers, and the profits were 20 pence. The level of detail in the driver's memory makes it trustworthy.
He stabbed the bloke sitting next to him. Even I wouldn't try that.
I have simply been led to this logical conclusion by listening to all the statements so far.
The members of the Carriage Guild are honest folk. The passenger fee is always 4 pence. There are no liars among them.
For him to suddenly have thrust the knife into a collapsed victim, it's unbelievable.
Hearing all 6 of them tell me he's guilty has a pretty profound impact. There are some among them that seem a touch vague, however. Anyway, I'll give this a shot. All I have to do is persuade them, right? Here it comes. I'm going to unleash all the reasoning and passion I have on them. One moment, please. According to this book, that's not quite correct. What do you mean? Isn't the only thing that can thaw their frozen hearts are my heated words? Okay, Naruhodo. Unfortunately, once a juror has decided that the defendant is guilty, they won't be willing to consider the defense's mere words. What? Naturally, no one likes to hear a decision they've given picked apart, so the harder the defense tries, the more opposite effect it will have. But that's insane, Susato-san. These aren't my words, but those of the British jurisprudence. So then, what the heck am I supposed to do? According to my findings, the key to persuading them is in the words of the jurors themselves. The jurors themselves? All the jurors came here after being randomly selected from the city. So, although they may appear at first glance to be strongly united, the truth is that they're simply strangers who happen to be sitting side by side. In other words, you're telling me there's an opening there. Precisely. Let's listen to their words carefully, one by one. And then, perhaps there will be a contradiction between 2 of their statements. In which case, those 2 statements will clash. Contradiction between the jurors' statements. That's kind of just like the usual cross-examination, isn't it? You're right. A contradiction in their statements that will cause them to clash with each other. Maybe I can do this. No, it's more like... Double slap. I have no choice but to do this. Now then, defense, we shall begin your final appeal. You will proceed to the witness stand and provide a clear rebuttal. Yes, Your Honor. The defense's rebuttal. Pressing on the maid about the 4 pence, the 4 and 20 pence. Is his memory of his earnings really that important?
I'm in charge of my master's change, so I'm rather particular about sums.
Right.
When it comes to humans, a single penny can decide whether they live or die.
That true? I've never heard that.
In other words, the words of a person whose memory is detailed enough to recall something of that nature can be trusted. That is how we capable servants think.
That desk polishing you just started doing seems awfully rehearsed.
The driver says he witnessed the defendant's crime. After that, it's simply a matter of taking out the rubbish.
Come to think of it, he's not the only juror who mentioned money. So we have the opportunity, perhaps we should take the time to confirm it. Then, if there turns out to be a contradiction, then I should pit them against each other, huh? I guess I should check it out. This guy! Why is he there with a knife? Who let the guy in with the knife? We're looking at number 5 now. Because he too was also talking about money. But he said that the passenger fee was 4 pence. What happens here is if you want to pit them, we're going to pit juror number 2 with juror number 5. Yes, I can count. There's an obvious contradiction between those two assertions. Contradiction, you say? Which bit did you mean?
With my... What on earth could you mean?
I don't know anything about it. I swear on Silver Blaze's life.
If I'm not mistaken, according to the testimony we've heard so far, on the night of the murder, on the omnibus which acted as the scene of the crime, there were 4 passengers. According to the driver, Beppo-san, his profits came out to be 20 pence.
Yes, that is also written in my flawless report.
But, on the other hand, Juror 5 stated the following. The fare to ride the omnibus is always 4 pence.
Indeed, convenient and cheap. That's what a carriage must be.
However, if that's true, this creates a most unnatural contradiction.
Just tell us what it is already!
If the fare is 4 pence per person, and there were 4 passengers, then how much should the profit have been?
Oh, 16 pence.
Exactly. That doesn't add up. There's 4 extra pence, just enough for 1 more passenger. What? 1 more passenger? In other words, that evening on the omnibus, it's distinctly possible that there was 1 more passenger riding. Oh shit! I haven't heard this objection theme in like forever. What?
That shouldn't be. The guild drivers are honest people. Trust is the most important thing between us.
But we certainly can't trust someone who can't properly calculate the fare of just 4 passengers.
What did you say?
Boss, if we were to end the trial here, most unfortunate rumors could end up spreading throughout London. That the omnibus driver overlooked an important customer.
What must I do to ensure that this worthless trial continues?
According to this book, you must retract your fireball from the guilty side of the scale.
No, hold up a moment there, you! We just got everyone to agree, and now you...
Hey, Beppo, get out here!
Woo, take that. We got 1 person.
Oh, what's going on here?
Pardon me, but I shall do the same.
Not you two! What do you think you're doing?
In the end, a single penny can mean the difference between whether a human smiles or cries. The words of a person whose memories of such a detail are unclear cannot be trusted.
What did you say?
I believe we should listen to a bit more of what those witnesses have to say.
You did it, Naruhodo-sama. If we convince 2 more of them to reconsider their decisions, this trial can continue. 2 more of them? Come to think of it. There was one other detail in what they said that was bothering me. Your next target should be that point. Finding the contradictions of 2 assertions against each other, huh? Right, let's see what we can do. In spite the shift in the decision, the scale is still tipped towards guilty. Now then, defense, continue your final appeal. Alright, we're gonna press on juror number 3. Oh, and that's grayed out now since we've proven that's not true. Alright, hit the press button. What are you doing? Please put that away, it's dangerous.
That's pretty rich from a fellow with a sword dangling from his belt.
No. This is my spirit, you see? Yeah, that's totally gonna fly.
In any case, I hate rich folks. They all go around stabbing masons behind everyone's backs.
Obviously, they don't all do that.
What are you talking about? At the very least, that little old geezer is a cruel moneylender.
Well, that may be, but... Naruhodo-sama, you mustn't admit that.
To rip us poor folks off like that. That's obviously just as deserving of the death penalty. Oh, fucking bloody
Nice
knife.
job, juror.
Fucking burn.
Come to think of it, I feel as though at least one other juror mentioned something about the defendant's crime. Naruhodo-sama, if you notice something, then let's double check it. Hitting jurors' contradictions against each other, huh? Whatever the case, nothing will happen if I don't touch the clash button. Let's break 4 falls while we're at it. Alright, so obviously we're gonna pit... Okay, she also talked about thrusting a knife, but do you notice how she's thrusting that knife? Compared to him. So let's pit him with her. There's a complete contradiction between these 2 assertions. What? Defense, explain yourself.
All I was doing was knitting a sweater for grandson.
Are you sure that's gonna fit on your grandfather? Oh, I meant he meant grandkid.
What even is a contradiction anyway?
I saw the defendant stab the victim. If memory serves, that's what the witnesses earlier testified. By the way, Juror 3.
What do you want? My awesome self is a little occupied right now.
Just, how did the defendant stab the victim?
Are you trying to test the great and powerful me? He went like this to the guy sitting beside him. That's what that poser banker said.
Indeed, Mr. Fairplay did testify to that effect. Then, Juror 6.
Oh, are you addressing me?
Just how did the defendant stab the victim?
Oh, as far as I heard, he went like this to the collapsed mason. That's what the driver said.
Freeze, just like that. Now both of you, please take a look at how the other is posing. He stabbed the victim who was sitting next to him. He stabbed the victim who was lying on the floor. The crime is being described in 2 completely different ways.
What?
But why would that...
In other words, the witnesses we just heard from. There's a possibility that one of them wasn't testifying truthfully.
Why? Why would they lie like that?
I still don't know that. However, if the trial ends here, that fact will be forever shrouded in mystery. Proud jurors, are you really okay with that?
That's simply out of the question.
The heavenly scales!
My god.
Hold it! Wait! Listen here, you lot. You mustn't listen to him. That black-clad defense attorney must be... yeah, he must be using some dodgy oriental witchcraft.
If I had convenient powers like that, I wouldn't waste my effort on something like this.
Oi, Blackie!
Yes?
What does it even matter if the two of them saw two different things? For example, first the loan shark stabbed the victim who was sitting beside him. That's what this Tony saw. Then the victim fell senseless to the floor, and then the loan shark stabbed him again. Well, that's what the granny saw. If you think about it like that, then there's no problem at all.
Who are you calling a toady? I'll cut you!
Calling me a granny. That'll get you stabbed.
This caused quite an uproar. Please no murdering each other. But I wonder about what that juror just said. So the witnesses each saw a different moment of the crime. It's possible. There's no way. There's no way. There was only one wound entry, I believe. My apologies, but Jura-san.
What do you want, you black-clad devil?
There's simply no way. None at all.
Why not? What makes you so sure? I was just... As the head juror, I was just trying to guide everyone towards the correct decision. Proof. Right. Do you have any proof? Those two witnessed different moments during the crime. Do you have any proof that there's no way it happened like that?
At this point, I have no choice but to present something to him. Some definitive evidence. Understood. I will show you proof. The reason that the two witnesses couldn't have simply seen two different moments during the crime is... present the autopsy report. Here, I have a document known as the autopsy report. According to this record, the victim was stabbed with the knife. Just one time.
One time, you say?
Do you understand now? As long as he had only been stabbed once. There's no excuse for the witnesses' testimonies to differ.
Alright, I guess this time you got the better of me.
Thanks, juror number 3. Naruhodo, your eyes, come on. You just won. For this, anyway. So now... this makes 4 votes for innocent. Well done, Naruhodo-sama. This means... a victory for us.
What's the matter with all of you?
Pipe down! Don't think I'll just let you get away with trying to fool me.
But look, we're supposed to put up united front and...
Like I said, pipe down! I'm gonna figure out which one of them was lying. And if that guy wanders into my shop someday, I'm gonna shave his head baby smooth with this blade of mine.
Who brought this guy in for the juror? I guess that man must be a barber. This has suddenly become an unbelievable situation. With this one final appeal, the jurors' votes have completely changed. 2 guilty and 4 not guilty. Thus, as the court is currently in disagreement, the trial will be continued. Now then, defense, prosecution, and witness, please return to your respective seats. The court expects that the truth will be sought. All right, Lord Von Zeeks, please continue building your case. Oh! After having enjoyed the sweet fragrance of the Lord's chalice here in the Garden of Judgment for that long moment, I beg your indulgence for my rudeness of shattering it to a fine powder, not so much as taking a sip. Why would you do that on such good wine? Lord Von Zeeks! What's with this bizarrely cold atmosphere? During the last appeal, the prosecution must keep its mouth shut. So, in accordance with British jurisprudence' foolish, outdated rule, I simply listened quietly. But it seems that I overestimated the intelligence of the jurors. That's not very nice. Well, no matter. Those self-evident facts can often be difficult to explain. It's precisely why we gather in court and talk ourselves blue in the faces. Because all that matters now is the next battle. Oh shit! The cape's off! The cape's off! Now we're serious! The prosecution moves to have the previous witnesses take the stand once more. Witnesses, perhaps you were listening to the final appeal just now? Yes. Aye, of course. Oh, I was listening. Witness, your name was Beppo the driver, correct? Yes. In the event in your previous testimony, you hid the presence of a 5th passenger. You yourself will come under suspicion for the crime. Be aware of that. The court orders the witnesses to give further testimony in regards to the various problems that were exposed by the final appeal just now. Oh, snap. Various problems. That night, there were 4 passengers. That's the truth. It's just a... Aye, a passenger was told that the fare was 5 pence. Oh! Well, not only were we cheated on our fee, but we were also made to witness something terrifying. It's too much. Mr. Mangodal stabbed the victim. What I saw hasn't changed. I believe that he stabbed him. Yes. So, in other words, what does this mean? That the 5th passenger the Oriental lawyer tried to assist on doesn't exist. It was all simply a product of the driver's mischief.
Beppo!
But, yes, boss?
The Carriage Guild decided on a fare of 4 pence. Does this mean that you've been taking 1 pence extra?
Well, you see, it was so cold out. There were never many passengers on the last carriage of the night. What a dishonest driver. Oh, I'm sorry.
Beppo, you bastard! Thanks to your dishonesty, our credibility has been damaged.
But I was charged 10 pence to ride the omnibus last week. Oh, boy!
Damn it!
4 passengers at 5 pence apiece. 20 pence. I tried calculating it 10 times, but the answer always comes out the same. Well, that's only natural. It seems that one of the problems with the testimony has suddenly been cleared up. In any case, defense, your cross-examination. This trial has been dragged out by the allowance of a final appeal. I hope that you'll at least provide me with something I can enjoy. Okay. Of course. Don't agree with that! You're not here for this enjoyment! Ugh. There were 4 passengers, but the fee you took from them was not the usual 4 pence. This is correct. Who in their right minds would expect the last carriage of the night in the dead of winter to turn a profit anyway? Oh, it's so bloody cold that both of the horse and I are driving only half conscious. That, sure sounds rough. So, I think I owe meself a pat on the back. Well done, me. Ooh. Must have been that feeling that caused me to add a pence to the fee. Could you not talk about it like it was something someone else did? I thought that maybe if there had been a 5th passenger on the carriage that night, that person might turn out to be the real killer, but... By the way, were all the passengers that night charged 5 pence? I also was. Actually, I was too. I accepted 5 pence from each passenger. Yada yada. This means that the contradiction you pointed out earlier in the testimony was not a true contradiction. Therefore, your phantom killer has vanished as well. Was never there to start with, though. Something terrifying. That must refer to the murder? Oh, it certainly does. The moment a person is stabbed to death is something that no one wishes to see. No. Actually, I didn't see the exact moment. Oh, is that so? There's only one witness here who saw that, and that's the banker. So, Lady Furson didn't see the moment of the stabbing. Maybe some important meaning behind this. I looked down through the carriage skylight when I heard the banker gasp, and I clearly saw both the knife protruding from the victim's stomach and blood oozing out. Oozing out. Ever since then, I scream every time I see a knife at mealtimes. Oh, poor Lady First. I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish pressing this. Did the defendant stab the victim as he was sitting next to him? Well, of course, I've been saying that all along. This bit has been bothering me since earlier, too. A split second before he answered, felt like there was a strange pause. Besides, it was the only 2 of them riding in the carriage, was it not? As of right now, the signs suggest another passenger there are non-existent. In that case, why don't you just hurry up and register your decision? This uneasy feeling I get when from Fairplay-san's testimony. What could be causing it, I wonder? Earlier, I believe you testified that you witnessed the moment that the victim was stabbed, correct? Yes. And I believe you specified that he stabbed the victim who had collapsed on the floor with a knife he had held underhanded. Perhaps. I was, mistaken about that. What? Oh, it's true at the time. I heard a scream from a passenger riding on the upper deck behind me. Oh, that was most likely me. And then I turned around. I saw through the skylight. Yes. The victim was lying on the floor with a knife sticking straight out of his stomach. One gripping the knife was a well-known man. Yes. In other words, you didn't see the moment that the defendant stabbed the victim, right? I was convinced I'd seen it, but for starters, if I think about it really hard, there's no way anyone could have just... Oh! There's no way anyone could have just conveniently happened to witness the exact moment of the stabbing, is there? I think Mr. Fairplay seems to disagree with you. Is something the matter, Fairplay-san? I'll say! I'm sure at this moment you're thinking, there's no way anyone could have just conveniently happened to witness the exact moment of the stabbing, is there? Right? Right? He asked. Okay, we're gonna stop there right now and hear his dispute in the next video. So I'll see you guys then.
Proof? Right. Do you have any proof? Spit in my nodder there.
You would think a line where all I do is grunt twice in a row would be fairly easy to record, and yet I found myself recording this line 10 fucking times until I was happy!
All I have to do is persuade them, right? Here it comes. I'm going to unleash all the reasoning and passion I have on them. One moment, please. According to this book, that's not quite correct. What do you mean? Isn't the only thing that can thaw their frozen hearts are my heated words? Okay, Naruhodo. Unfortunately, once a juror has decided that the defendant is guilty, they won't be willing to consider the defense's mere words. What? Naturally, no one likes to hear a decision they've given picked apart, so the harder the defense tries, the more opposite effect it will have. But that's insane, Susato-san. These aren't my words, but those of the British jurisprudence. So then, what the heck am I supposed to do? According to my findings, the key to persuading them is in the words of the jurors. Double slap. I have no choice but to do this. Now then, defense, we shall begin your final appeal. You will proceed to the witness stand and provide a clear rebuttal. Yes, Your Honor. The defense's rebuttal. Pressing on the maid about the 4 and 20 pence. Is his memory of his earnings really that important?
I'm in charge of my master's change, so I'm rather particular about sums.
Right.
When it comes to humans, a single penny can decide whether they live or die.
That true? I've never heard that.
In other words, the words of a person whose memory is detailed.
And we're back to more GGS. So the update on the stuff on my capture board stuff, I think the USB that they put into this 3DS is a little flimsy because I think the capture board itself is fine, but the USB port for it is not so great. It's very fragile, so I have to be really, really careful about not moving this thing once I find a sweet spot for it. Though I'm sure it's probably still gonna freak out on me at any point in this, so I apologize ahead of time if that happens. For the time being, we are going to listen to the jurors talk about why they thought Mango Doll is guilty in the final appeal / closing argument. The jurors themselves. The jurors themselves? All the jurors came here after being randomly selected from the city. So, although they may appear at first glance to be strongly united, the truth is that they're simply strangers who happen to be sitting side by side. In other words, you're telling me there's an opening there. Precisely. Let's listen to their words carefully, one by one. And then, perhaps there will be a contradiction between two of their statements. In which case, those two statements will clash. Contradiction between the jurors' statements. That's kind of just like the usual cross-examination, isn't it? You're right. A contradiction in their statements that will cause them to clash with each other. Maybe I can do this. No, it's more like jurors' assertions.
There was no one else inside the carriage, therefore it could have been no one else.
There were 4 passengers, and the profits were 20 pence. The level of detail in the driver's memory makes it trustworthy.
He stabbed the bloke sitting next to him. Even I wouldn't try that.
I have simply been led to this logical conclusion by listening to all the statements so far.
The members of the Carriage Guild are honest folk. The passenger fee is always 4 pence. There are no liars among them.
For him to suddenly have thrust the knife into a collapsed victim, it's unbelievable.
Hearing all 6 of them tell me he's guilty has a pretty profound impact. There are some among them that seem a touch vague, however. Anyway, I'll give this a shot. All I